Tustukire mu baana battu twetakkolozeeko luno olumpulege bwe tuddamu kulya ndaba Katonda ajjula erina kiggweyo bajjajja baagera bwe tutagolokoka Abaganda ba luno tugenda kumalibwawo wano nga twebase abaana ba leero katulwane nga bajjajja bazira bwe bakola gwanga mujje gwanga mujje owessaala ow'eddoboozi nyweza ow'ekkalaamu na buli muntu kyakutte bino ebigambo bikulu eno eŋŋoma bwevuga mutoba mukulu gwanga mujje gwanga mujje teba paka kumbuka mayingo ga nsobi biseera bya kabi gwanga mujje temwetuulako bino byakwerwanako gwanga mujje kati tusitukire mu baana battu twetakkolozeeko luno olumpulege bwe tuddamu kulya ndaba Katonda ajjula erina kiggweyo bajjajja baagera bwe tutagolokoka Abaganda ba luno tugenda kumalibwawo wano nga twebase abaana ba leero katulwane nga bajjajja bazira bwe bakola gwanga mujje aliwane wakankugambye nywera nawe ng'oli ewaleeyo nywera wazinzimya luno lukambwe bino ebigambo bikulu eno eŋŋoma bwevuga mutoba mukulu gwanga mujje teba paka kumbuka tufaana kutanyogwa saakodde okunywa gwanga mujje temwetuulako bino byakwerwanako gwanga mujje kati tusitukire mu baana battu twetakkolozeeko luno olumpulege bwe tuddamu kulya ndaba Katonda ajjula erina kiggweyo bajjajja baagera bwe tutagolokoka Abaganda ba luno tugenda kumalibwawo wano nga twebase abaana ba leero katulwane nga bajjajja bazira bwe bakola kati tusitukire mu baana battu twetakkolozeeko luno olumpulege bwe tuddamu kulya ndaba Katonda ajjula erina kiggweyo bajjajja baagera bwe tutagolokoka Abaganda ba luno tugenda kumalibwawo wano nga twebase abaana ba leero katulwane nga bajjajja bazira bwe bakola kati tusitukire mu baana battu twetakkolozeeko luno olumpulege bwe tuddamu kulya ndaba Katonda ajjula erina kiggweyo bajjajja baagera bwe tutagolokoka Abaganda ba luno tugenda kumalibwawo wano nga twebase abaana ba leero katulwane nga bajjajja bazira bwe bakola
Banankyukakyuka bannabuganda kwetongole badde njagala okutwala omukisa guno okubabuuzaako mugyebala emirimu gya Buganda mugyebale gyonna gye mutuusaako engalo ku lw'ab'eŋŋanda zammwe tubwebaza buli kimu kye mukola. Today family, I want to use English as a way to communicate to the people because these days we are being followed by the international community on how far the Buganda struggle for freedom is. So we need to update them. They need to know what is happening, and also we need to realize that the invaders or the people who are occupying our territory, they are using English as a way to protect their illegal occupation of our territory. So allow me to use English for the sake of the international community to understand what is happening, to understand what is going on. This is me, Alex Chigundu, once again. Today I will be speaking about the Buganda and the right to self-determination. Excuse me. Buganda and the right to self-determination under international law. We are going to go deep into this subject. Like last time, I did try to summarize it and to make people understand the definition of the right to self-determination. In the case of Uganda, how are we? Where does Uganda fall into the right to self-determination, and what is the meaning of that? So for now, I'm going to go deep on the root cause why we should continue to pass the right to self-determination, and the people must know what happened and what should we do, because sometimes we are being occupied right now because the people who are ruling us or who invaded our territory, they are using that advantage of ignorance. Ignorance is a key to make people like it works for their advantage to rule, to lead, to occupy, to steal, to grab our land because people don't know. So we are going to dig deep into the right to self-determination under international law, and we will be able to know, to let the international community that it is our right to stand up. We are not just taking advantage of the situation because of the dictator Museveni has stayed in power for so long. No, we have our rights as a people. We have to make a decision as a people. But why are we continuing to be under a foreign government or a foreign domination? But we have our own government as a people. So we as a people, not the king, not the government of Uganda, but we, the people of Uganda, we want our democracy, we want our freedom, we want our liberty. So I'm gonna introduce myself once again. My name is Alex Chigundu, and by the grace of God, I am the founder of Buganda Liberation Council. Buganda Liberation Council is an international advocacy group for Uganda to be free from the oppression of the foreign domination. We call it foreign domination. We call them invaders. We call them occupiers. They occupied our territory. So as the United Nations Charter gives the people like us, Buganda or Baganda, the right to self-determination, that's why we are championing for Uganda to be free from the oppression since 1966 or 67. So we want to see that we want to make Uganda an independent and a sovereign country through peaceful measures. Listen to me, through peaceful measures and democratic means. As we continue to follow each other, to follow one another, to listen to one another, we are going to discuss in details how we are going to achieve this objective of freedom in a peaceful way. In a peaceful way. So, our vision is to ensure that Uganda gain or attain freedom, peace, justice, democracy, and we create a cooperation between international countries. You know, Buganda as a country, as a nation, we are in a situation whereby the we don't have diplomacy relations. We have to create diplomatic relations. People who can help us in any situation that we might find ourselves into. Like in the 1960s, 1961, remember very well that Michael Chintu, Katikiro, the former Katikiro of Uganda, he declared independence. They declared, not him, they declared independence. It was an anonymous decision by the Turichiko of 1961, January 1st, January 1st of 1961. So when they declared independence, they did not get international support. And the media was bought by the colonial powers, the colonial or the imperialist. And the media did hide that truth about our declaration. So having allies or creating international diplomacy in line with our cause will help us to gain support from other people such that we don't look like we are alone. In any political life, you need support. You need people who can assist you to defend your decision. Like for example, in Taiwan right now is not recognized by United Nations, but it has allies. It has USA as an ally. China, it might try to invade, but at the end of the day, USA will say, stop right there. You cannot do this because of the allies. So Uganda as a country, as a nation, through Uganda Liberation Council, we are going to have allies. We are going to have friends. We are going to have support. In any decision that we make, we will be able to be defended. So the objectives and the aims of BLC is to ensure that we mobilize and unite the people of Uganda for the complete liberation of Uganda from all forms of annexation, neo-colonial occupation, and national oppression. Our objective number 2 is to end the rule of Uganda over Buganda in all its forms and thus achieve the sovereignty of Uganda. We look forward to work towards establishing the Uganda that is ready to exist as a sovereign country and a sovereign country on and from the day of independence as a sovereign state. Also, we look forward to fight for social and economic justice and to eliminate the vast inequalities created by the Ugandan corrupted government, the Uganda corrupted taxi people, without the representation and a system of governance, government oppression. You know very well, me and you, the truth is we don't have freedom as a people of Uganda created by the government of Uganda. The Ugandan government since 1967, 1966, they are practicing uh, illegal violation of human rights against the people of Uganda. Today's video, I planned it shortly, like it was supposed to be a smaller video, but the way I see it might be long. Please bear with me as I explain this in detail. I don't want to jump things because it has made us lose details. The devil always try to maneuver into our our way of living in Uganda because we are not attentive to details. We miss details too much. But to be I want to follow step by step until we reach that day that Uganda as a people we are free. And then our generations to come, they will be able to benefit from this initiative or from this self-sacrifice. So there is a video for I I don't know which position this guy is having, but he's from Kainda Otafire. I don't know if you know Kainda Otafire. He made a video about this issue of Buganda struggle for freedom, and he reiterated some issues. I want to respond statement by statement to Kainda Otafire, and I'm gonna play that video such that you too can be able to see it, to hear yourself what this guy is saying, and then from there I counter respond to what he's trying to say. So then from there we are going to go into the title of the message of today: Buganda and the right to self-determination under international law. But let us first address local issues, because that's where these people are utilizing the opportunity to invade us, to occupy us, to violate our rights, because they have a platform, a Uganda platform. This Uganda platform, remember very well, was created by the white people with an agenda to discredit Buganda. If you follow me, I want you to know that I have videos. My videos, they are on YouTube, simple as it is. Chigundu Alex. Go to you Google, search Chigundu Alex on Buganda Kwetongola or Buganda right to self-determination. They are there on YouTube and Facebook, such that you know Buganda, we have rich history. I talked about the timeline of the rich history of Buganda. So the reason I'm telling you this, it is step by step. I talked about the history. Now, last video, I talked about Buganda right to self-determination in the case of Buganda. So as I speak, I'm going to be referring to those videos. That means that if you haven't watched me in the previous video, go search another video. So the people, white people came to Buganda with the intention to put us together, to kill other regions intentionally, to discredit the regions of Uganda, to take away their autonomy or their freedom as the people, and combine them, put them together forcefully. In 1862, that's the first time the white men came to Buganda. So we did not know that the agenda of a white man is to put us together to take away our freedom. If we knew, even some of our leaders like Sekabaka Mwanga, he came to realize after signing the agreement in 1892 and 1894, after signing those agreements, he realized that he has made a mistake. It happens to any normal human being. You can make a mistake. But he was trying to counterattack the wrong intentions of the British when he came to realize that they want to take the land. They want to take away our freedom. So in July 7th, 1897, he declared war on the British, and he lost. But why am I saying? I'm trying to show you that the white people came with the intention to put these nations, Buganda and the Toro, Bunyoro, together as one country. They even wanted to give it another name, not Uganda. But they realized that to marginalize Buganda, they must give it Uganda, such that we can feel a little bit of light, happy, because Uganda is from Buganda. But at the end of the day, we have to look, the intentions was to put together these nations, make one country. In fact, it was supposed to be called East Africa. East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Kenya, Buganda, Toro, Bunyoro, all of those nations were supposed to be one called East Africa country, something like that. But we refused, Buganda, we refused. And up to now, we're still saying, no, we are not going to accept East Africa. we are not going to accept any form of unitary government that is imposed on us. We're gonna rise up. We are rising. God is raising men and women for Buganda. I can tell you with a guarantee of no fail. Buganda men, God is gonna rise Buganda men and women to fight for Buganda. And Buganda is rising to fall no more. Buganda is rising to fall no more. No more once again. So let us play this video and then listen to this gentleman Kainda Otafire, how he is trying to lie to the people, and we expose his true intentions or their true intentions. All right?
I'm looking for African unity. Now you're talking about Buganda.
Okay, wait.
Where should I go for federal? I'm looking for African unity. Now you're talking about Buganda. I'm an African.
All right. He's saying, why should he go to federal? He's looking for Africa, but we want him to talk about Buganda. You know, this is how these people lie to us, lie to the people, lie to the masses. I'm gonna tell you the truth. These people, they are the representatives of the imperialism. They are the representative of the colonialism. These are the agents of oppression. These are the agents of occupation. These are the agents of invasion. Kainda Otafire and his fellow brothers. Kainda Otafire, I'm not sure whether he's a Lango, he's a Choli, but right now, as it is, Buganda is being occupied illegally by the Rwandan people. Rwandan people, through the use of the name Uganda, they use Uganda as a way to continue with the occupation of our territory. So these Rwandans, they came as refugees in 1920s, 1930s, and some came just recently when Habyarimana, they are practicing genocide against the Tutsi. You know, they came to Uganda. We welcomed them. But now, because Uganda, you know, any human being, when you go into a certain area, you discover opportunities. They discovered that the Uganda, the legality of Uganda is narrow and void. There is no way Uganda was not existing on legal principles. There was no law governing Uganda as a country. Uganda, up to now, Uganda is at that state whereby there is no law, there is no rule of law. That country is governed by the use of a gun, and a bullet. So now people, they are submitting under duress, they are submitting under fear. So you don't call that a government. Those are people who are called occupiers. So when the Rwandans came, they discovered that. Then what did they do? They also took guns and fight to remove the current government and take power. You know? So that means that we are being occupied by Rwandans, and all those things that which they are doing it on Buganda territory. There is no other territory. They are doing it on Buganda territory, which means that they are continuing with the colonial occupation, because when the white people left, they gave it to the Lango and the Acholi people. Acholi people, how did they do it? They dissolved the Constitution of 1962 in 1967. Up from 1967, we are submitting under duress to those governments. Without a gun, and the people say we have a right to choose, we can't submit to those governments, because 1962 we rejected it and they gave us an autonomy. Buganda was governed under autonomy, but with the cooperation of other regions, such that we can see development take place in other regions. So if the 1962 constitution was dissolved, Uganda died, all right? So now this kind of Otafire, they are utilizing that opportunity to talk like this, to lie to the people that how can he talk about federal while he's looking at Africa? Which Africa is he talking about? Before the white people came, the black people or the Uganda people were not having governments. We were having our own government. Which Africa is he talking about that killed the dignity and the identity of black people in Africa? You know, let me tell you, people, when they talk about a pan-Africanism in the sense of protecting the imperialist, or in the sense of protecting the colonialist borders, the colonial borders, I'm gonna tell you, to be honest, don't listen to those people. Whoever talk about pan-Africanism, excluding the kingdoms that were found in Africa before colonial borders, or before the Berlin Conference of 1872, right? When the white people seated in Berlin to share Africa, and they divided in line with the borders that we see today. Don't listen to those people. Those people are liars. Those people, they are protecting the agenda of the imperialism. They are protecting the agenda of the colonialism in Africa. Because Africa is not free until we go back to our own roots. Which roots am I talking about? The roots whereby the chiefs, the kings, and the queens, they are the one in charge of Africa. Whoever talks about Pan-Africanism in the protection of the colonial borders, don't listen to those people, because we, the people of Africa, especially Buganda, Ashanti, Zulu, Swati, Sotu, Shona, it's many tribes, okay? Those are the true origins of Africanism, or that is the true origin of Pan-Africanism. Not these people who came to fight the white people, and then when they fought, after that they went to sit down in London, and then they negotiate terms. After negotiating terms, they became the representatives of the colonialism in Africa. Up to today, when you stand up to say Buganda is my country, you are an enemy, because they are protecting the colonial interest. Neda, we are not going to allow that. Buganda as a country must go back to its origin. Bunyolo must go back to its roots. Toro must go back to its roots, and so on. After that, we can be able to negotiate terms and the conditions and come together as a people, and then from there we continue. So Kainda Otafire is not an Africanism, is not an Africanist. They are using it as an attachment to further the occupation, or to further the colonial interest.
Are Uganda Europeans? Are they from Europe or from heaven? The Africans, you don't know. When I'm talking,
yes, I agree. Buganda, we are Africans. Buganda, we are Africans. But he needs to know that he must not, we are not going to allow him to use Uganda as the colonial representation of oppression to us as Buganda. Because we never agreed to Uganda. Uganda was imposed on us. All right? We never agreed, and I'm coming to that.
talking about Otafire, I'm talking about Otafire. Do you say, no, what about your feet? No, the feet are part of me. The feet are part of me. So me, when I speak for Africa and African people, Buganda is also included. But there are those who don't want to look at Africa in a whole, and they want to talk about Buganda.
It's a lying. You see, these are the people. It's lying how? When we talk about Buganda, we are talking about Buganda freedom. We as the people, we must have a right to choose how we want to be governed, not to impose the colonial representation entity. Uganda is a colonial representation entity which was imposed on us in 1967 by Milton Obote and Binayisa. And if that is the case, that we forget to be Africans, that we look forward to Buganda as a free entity or as a free country, let it be. Because I don't care about how Africa is doing if I'm not free. If I'm not free, I don't care about other African countries. Because Africa, before the white people came, we were free. We had our own government, chiefs and kings and queens. We were submitting to them. But for now, if that which was brought by the white people took away our freedom, we need to first restore our freedom as the people of Uganda. Then we go to unite other kingdoms to make Africa. Not to say that I must look at Africa and then I leave Buganda standing isolated. No, Buganda must be free first. Buganda comes first. Buganda first. Then we look into other regions. Like right now, don't tell me about Busoga. Don't tell me about Bunyoro. Don't tell me about Toro. Don't tell me about any other nation in Uganda apart from Buganda. Buganda people, Buganda people and the natural resources, Buganda borders must be protected first, and then from there we talk about other regions.
They forget that we are Africans, we are East Africans, and we are Ugandans.
You see the terms that he's using, that we are Africans, we are Ugandans, we are East Africa. All those terms, we rejected them as a people of Uganda. We rejected those terms because they don't define us. They can only define us by our will and our agreement. Where did the Buganda people or population sit and agree on the East African passport? Where did the Buganda sit and agree on the borders that were given to Uganda? Where did the Buganda sit and agree on the African borders? You know, we have to be clear. If there is not where Buganda king seated and agree on the borders of Africa, borders of East Africa, then you cannot tell us how we are East Africa, how we are Africans, because we can only fight and defend that which we know for sure that it's ours. Like what we know and what our grandparents fought for, our judges, is that Buganda was having 20 provinces. And those 20 provinces, those are the one we are fighting for. Each and every inhabitant within those 20 provinces, once we know that they are protected by the policies and the constitution of Uganda, the monarchy constitution of Uganda, then we shall go forward to unite East Africa. But if that is not the case, Kaindo Tafire and your company, forget.
They start with Uganda. But it is their democratic and God-given right to talk about themselves. That's what I want to hear. And there is no way I can persuade them to abandon that course unless I listen to what they are saying. And then they listen to what I'm saying. You know, I want that opportunity to talk to them and say, these views of you, as wonderful as they are wrong. Yeah.
The Buganda right to self-determination is not wrong until Buganda right to self-determination is achieved, we shall not stop to agitate for the right to self-determination because it is our right. And this scenario of undermining our rights as a people of Buganda was brought about by the white people in 1953. You remember the time they abducted our Kabaka Mutesa II, they exiled him in London. That's when it started to undermine our intentions, to undermine our will, to undermine our desires. It is not going to work, and we are not going to stop. You know, the right to self-determination is a God-given right whereby we cannot allow alien domination. We cannot allow foreign domination into our territory. All right? So, we have a right, a democratic right, to continue to fight for the right to self-determination.
Like people used to believe that rain is caused by witchcraft. once you convince them that it's precipitation, then they will abandon those views. But before you convince them that rain is a result of evaporation and condensation, they will still believe that rain is caused by witchcraft. And they are convinced, and they are willing to go to die for that belief, wrong as it is. Wrong as it is. Now I want Buganda, Kowa Buganda, at the discussion, at the table of discussion.
These people, they are just using a camera to entice the people. These people, they don't want people of Uganda to talk about the right to self-determination. These people, whoever that has reason to speak about the right to self-determination, they have poisoned, is either they have poisoned or they have murdered these people. They murdered Sekawa Kamwanga II. They murdered him in the exile in Seychelles. They murdered him, and after that, they managed to make the 19 agreement that gave them permission to operate on the territory of Uganda. Up to now, as it is, the Ugandan government doesn't have land, but through that agreement of 1900, they received the permission to operate their government on the territory of Uganda. But I'm trying to show you that the nationalism of Uganda, since its foundation, the people of Uganda, especially the people who have the Moyo gwa Buganda Ogutafa, they have been murdered by the government, both white and black people, black occupiers, since 1899 up to today. As I speak, they poisoned Honorable Chanjo, and right now Honorable Chanjo is continue to fight for his life, and he was calling, or he was agitating for the right to self-determination. So, as I said in the previous video, we are not going to ask these people to discuss with them. These people, they are going to ask us. They are going to ask us, not us asking them, because we have given them time to think about these things. And right now, as a people, it's time to let them know that that is our territory. Buganda is for us. Buganda is not for everybody. Buganda is for Baganda. And the people who come from other regions, they must enjoy the freedom created or brought by the people of Buganda, not by foreigners. Foreigners, they must oblige, must submit to the principles that govern the territory of Buganda, not the other way around. Because when you continue to say that we must ask these people to discuss the terms that how our territory is going to be run, it's like they have shares in our territory. No. In fact, these are the people whom we must tell them that we can continue to say, you know what, because of the treatment you have done to our territory and the people you have murdered, we have shares in your so-called Uganda, because the government of Uganda is running their operations on the territory of Uganda. That means that we are the one who are being used, and we have to fight against that, ladies and gentlemen. It is unacceptable to accept the foreign domination, to accept the alien domination in our territory.
So that we can listen to each other. And when you listen to each other, that's a panacea for not making trouble. When people have been hard, then it is foolish of them, and it's rare that they will start trouble.
All right. So that is the kind of tafile lying to the people. It's they have used that malice, that deception, that lying to the people that they are willing to talk to us. They are not. Since now 60 years, almost 60 years, they are not willing to talk to us. But I can tell you, with a guarantee of no fail, this is a time for Buganda men and women to rise up, to resist this oppression government. This occupational government must be resisted. These invaders, these occupiers must be resisted. This is the time. And we have to pray that God assist us, God help us in all these projects, objectives, aims. We must ask God to help us. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it brings us to our video of today. Today, I'm going to talk about Buganda and the right to celebrate. All right, now, all of us, we know very well that on 24 May 1966, an army of Uganda attacked the Buganda Palace, which is at Mengo, and within that process, many Baganda lost their lives, almost to 200,000 Baganda people. They were massacred, and not only people, but a lot of properties were destroyed during that time. So, 1966 created a path to make a new constitution. But before the new constitution was made, Obote declared that he has finished the 1962 constitution, which gave Uganda a federal system of governance. So the attack of the Lubiri Palace, or the attack of Mengo Palace, created a situation that Obote and Binayisa, they sat down and drafted the constitution of 1967. which handed the control of Buganda to Unitary Government, which was a violation of international law. Buganda as a people, we have never exercised our legal right to self-determination under international law to international standards. The Constitution of 1967, I can tell you the honest truth that it cannot justify the Uganda sovereignty over Buganda. The justification for such sovereignty, if it exists, it must lie elsewhere in the legal rules governing the acquisition of the sovereignty. Otherwise, I can confidently say that Buganda as a territory is under foreign and alien domination, a status which is forbidden by international law. You know, Buganda as a country, we have a government. We have a government which is led by our Kabaka, Ssaabasajja Kabaka waffe, Ronald Muwenda Mutebi Owookubiri. That government must be given permission to be responsible for judiciary. It must be given permission to be responsible for commerce and economics. It must be given permission to be responsible for natural resources, which covers lakes, forests, and so on. It must be given permission in terms of defending and protecting the citizens of Uganda. So, Buganda as a country, right now as I speak, we are a victim of the illegal dissolve of the Ugandan Constitution of 1962 by Milton Obote and Binayisa in 1967. Since then, the Ugandan government, they continue to engage in a continuous oppression and the violations of the rights of the people of Buganda through torture, abductions, murder, limited access to education and economic growth opportunities. They have used the cultural assimilation as a policy to make us aware that Uganda is working, but it's not. They are continuing to deny the right development for the inhabitants within the territory of Uganda. And also, they have removed the right to life or taken away the right to life through unlawful killing and the extrajudicial killings of the people of Uganda. You know very well how they are killing us. You know very well how they are treating us within our territory. So this government, which is occupying our territory, they have tried by all means to make it look like that we, the Uganda people, made a decision to form a unitary government, which is a total lie to the international community. This is the time for international community to know that we are not in line to submit or to accept this occupational government. In 1960, in 1953, 1955, 1961, all the provinces in Buganda, they made a decision. They made a total decision that Buganda must be free. Buganda must be independent. And even through that anonymous decision, that Katikkiro Kintu made on the 1st of January 1961, it was after the research and the survey that was made by them that Buganda wants independence. Buganda wants to be free. But the decision was not respected, and the media was bought to cover up such stories. But I'm happy that there are some media articles that wrote about our declaration. It's because sometimes people think that when we speak about these things, we are just telling stories. No, we are talking about things that happened and the things that were disrespected and our rights were taken away. So, for Kabaka, Ssekabaka Mwanga, Mutesa II, Mutesa II, he refused for Uganda to occupy his territory. He stood up against these people, the invaders, the Lango and the Acholi. He stood against them, and even he was termed or he was labeled an autonomiste avantitote, which means in English a die-hard autonomist. A die-hard autonomist. That means that for him to be killed, to be exiled, he stood with his conscience. He fought against the invaders. He fought against the occupiers because he knew that these people, what they are doing is against the will of the people of Uganda. And he fought against it. So that's why you find out that he was removed from the position that he was holding, and he was exiled to London, where he died in 1960s, in 1969 with poison, and he was poisoned by the agents of oppression in London. So, Binaisa told us that the Uganda Constitution of 1967 would finally be a safeguard for the unity of the Ugandan nation, and there was no alternative but to remain within the Republic of Uganda. That was a lie. Where does Uganda is today? Does Uganda serving the interests of the people of Uganda, or it is serving the interests of the individuals, the agents of oppression? Is serving the interest of the occupiers? You know, that's what we are fighting against. We want a system of governance that is going to benefit people. People who are living today, who are coming, and generations to come. We as the people of Uganda, we were not given an opportunity to vote for what we want as a people. They just imposed the constitution, which was illegal to the international law. It was illegal to the international standards. Ever since that time, from the 1970s to this day, the people of Uganda to be appointed, it is a matter of grace. You know, it is a matter of grace. All the positions, like the deputies to the nationals of Uganda, the government of Uganda has systematically made a key government position, such as the Republican President's Secretary General of the Presidency, the Commander of the Armed Forces, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Post and Telecommunication, the Ministry of Economy, Planning and Regional Development, and many more. All these positions, right now as I speak, they are owned by the Rwandans. They are owned by the people of Rwanda. And they are using these positions to develop Rwanda. You know? So, tell me why we shouldn't stand up for our right to self-determination if our territory is being occupied like that. If these positions, no Muganda can take it, can have it. You know? So what is self-determination in international law? I'm going to repeat this because it is very vital. We are not just waking up. We are people who are prepared. We want our territory. We want our country, Buganda. Buganda, not Uganda. All right? So self-determination in international law from its origins as a political principle championed by President Vladimir Lenin and President Woodrow Wilson. Those presidents were presidents of the United States and Russia. They are the people who champion for the right to self-determination. and they made sure that it becomes a fundamental human right and a rule of international law. So these people, if you don't know them, you must Google them. President Woodrow Wilson and Vladimir Lenin. They were present. Vladimir Lenin was a Russian president, and Wilson was a president of the United States. President Lenin and Wilson, they were in the view that a country to find out that it is really governed by the people and by the people within the region, or the people of Uganda, they are the one who in charge of Uganda. They cannot spend money in spying or espionage. If you find a country investing more into espionage, spying on another country, or putting more money in finding out intelligence, what is happening in that corner, what is going on, what did Chagulanyi do, where did Chagulanyi go? If you find a country investing more into that, just know that that country is owned, is governed by foreign domination, is governed by foreign agents, alien people who are foreigners who come from other regions. Right now, as I speak, Buganda, they are putting cameras, they are cutting trees. Our trees, forests that we have kept for many years, because the country is insecure. They know that anytime they are going. As I speak right now, there are many spies in Cape Town trying to find out, who is this Alex? What is going on? What is happening? There are many spies all over America spying on people for people power who are genuine, because even those political movements, they are being planted by Museveni himself, espionage, to ensure that he creates a picture in the international community that he has opposition, he has people to oppose him. But there are people in people power who are genuine, who want to see change. They are desiring to see change in Uganda. And then the fake people power agents, they continue to spy on those genuine people. It's happening in America, it's happening in UK, it's happening in Sweden, Germany, because Museveni knows anytime he's going out of power, he's a foreigner, straight from Rwanda. He's a Rwandan invader within our territory. He's a Rwandan occupier within our territory. So Wilson, Woodrow, and Vladimir Lenin, they are in the view that the government, if it is run by the people, within the people, by the people of that region, they cannot invest money in spying. They cannot spend money on intelligence. Things will be going to education, money will be going to hospitals, money will be going to infrastructure. But what is happening is the opposite. That means that we have to fight for the right to self-determination to create such environment. In Uganda is the only place where you find a police officer sleeping in a shack. Yet if Uganda were in control of our territory, our police officers, they will be the first priorities. Our nurses, they will be the first priorities. Our army personnel, they will be the first priority, will be given first priority. Teachers, they will be given first priorities, taken care of. In Uganda, in Uganda, a person will be desiring to be a teacher. But these days, a teacher is looked at as if that person doesn't understand what is going on. They don't want to be a teacher. Should, when you ask them, what do you want to be? Even if they say things that which don't make a sense, because the government has destroyed the future of the children. So, in the 1960s, the Declaration on the Granting of Independence to Colonial Countries and Peoples, the United Nations General Assembly stated that the subjection of peoples to alien subjugation, domination, and exploitation constitutes a denial of fundamental human rights, is contrary to the Charter of the United Nations, and is an impediment to world peace and cooperation. What does it mean? It means that if you see a country ruled or governed by foreigners, it is against the United Nations Charter, and also it is an impediment to world peace and cooperation. That's where you're gonna find that people, they don't want to work with other nations because they are allowing the subjugation and the subjection of the alien domination over the true people of that territory. So, since then, the principle of self-determination has attained quasi-constitutional status within the United Nations and has been reinforced by the state practice throughout the world. And as a result, millions of people have gained their freedom from the former colonial powers. The right to self-determination has given nations within nations the freedom from their former colonial powers. It is possible in the case of Buganda. Buganda is a nation within a nation, but that nation in Uganda was not created by us. Nation in Uganda was created by white men with the wrong motives to destroy the dignity and the rights of the people of those nations. So, self-determination has been entrenched in treaty law and in the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. I want to emphasize this very well. The Ugandan Constitution of 1967 was an egregious violation of Uganda legal right to self-determination. According to Resolution 1541 15 XV, under Resolution 1541 XV, principles which should guide members in determining whether or not an obligation exists to transmit the information called for under Article 73E of the Charter, an historic resolution passed by the United Nations General Assembly in 1960. There were two fundamental conditions that had to be met before a non-self-governing territory, such as Uganda, could be integrated into another state, such as Uganda. There were two fundamental conditions that are supposed to be met before these people, they just seated down, two of them draft a constitution and then bring the constitution thinking for many millions. There was no way the people of Uganda and the other nations seated down to discuss on what is the way forward. Because when they removed the constitution, they just imposed that constitution on us. And that was illegal under international law and according to Resolution 1541. These conditions were not met. All right? People who didn't knew about these principles, there are people who knew about these things, and especially the Buganda. And I knew very well that Bina Isa knew it. They knew it. They kept quiet for the sake of their interests. They did not dismiss the Constitution of 1967 because of their interests. But they knew very well that the Constitution of Uganda, 1967, betrayed the principle of self-determination in the case of Uganda, because the people of Uganda were not consulted. To be able to decide whether we should continue with a unitary government or not. So, firstly, what is this fundamental condition? Firstly, the territory should have already attained an advanced stage of self-government with the free political institutions. This was necessary to give its people the capacity to make a responsible choice through informed and democratic process. You know very well that we have a government, and this government was not consulted, even though our king was in exile, but the Luchiko was functioning. The Luchiko was there. The Katikiro was there. Mayanja Kanji was there. Also, that guy, I consider him a betrayer, because they just kept quiet and they continued as usual, as if business is normal. And the people, many people were killed, many people were murdered, many people were abducted, many people were taken away from their families. Why are these people, they are there? The Luchiko was there, you know. But we had our own government. We were supposed to be informed that you are going to the unitary government and this is what you are supposed to do. This is what is going to happen. You people, you will be doing this. You will be doing this. You are required to have this. You are going to put it with it. They were just forcing us into that unitary government. Secondly, an integration should only proceed once all the people of the territory, fully informed about the consequences, had expressed their wishes through informed and democratic process, impartially conducted and based on universal adult suffrage. You know, we would have at least have a referendum. We did not have a referendum to decide whether we should have a unitary government or not. Yet they had a referendum, a fake referendum, to take back our provinces, which is Buyaga and Bugangazi. But they did not make a referendum for us to decide whether we should continue to be under a unitary government or not. So that means that these people, they occupied us. We are under occupation as Buganda territory, even though right now the government of Uganda exists, but the freedom is not there. We, the people, we don't have freedom. We want our freedom as a people of Uganda. We want our own government under the control of judiciary, economics, defense, and judicial, economics, defense, and economics. Okay? So, I will continue. What kind of democratic process are we going to take for us to gain our freedom? Step by step. So these requirements, as I've stated up there, the first people to choose to have a self-government and also to have a referendum in terms of making a decision to go in a unitary government. All these principles, they are being set out in the principle IX of the resolution 1541 of the United Nations Charter. but they were not followed in the case of Buganda. So there is no way you can justify the Uganda sovereignty over Buganda, because the 1967 Constitution, according to the United Nations, those conditions were ignored. They were not taken into consideration. Even people who knew about those principles kept quiet to protect their interest. Mayanja Nkanji, Binaisa, those people, they don't deserve even to be buried in the territory of Uganda because they betrayed us, including Ben Chiwanuka. So they betrayed the principle of the right to self-determination in the case of Uganda. The 1967 Constitution was an egregious violation of the Uganda's legal right to self-determination, a violation of the sacred trust under Article 73 of the United Nations Charter. The justification of such sovereignty, if it exists, it must lie elsewhere in the legal rules governing the acquisition of sovereignty. Otherwise, I can say confidently that Uganda, as a territory, we are under foreign administration. We are under foreign domination, a status which is forbidden by international law. Mwongere okunywera Buganda okwetongola gwe mulamwa tewali kuzikiza. Power to the people.